looking around.
Just looking around?
Mm-hmm.
We just started our tour. Have you been on?
Oh, I haven't been at the Arbor tour?
Yeah, we just started it, and it's, we're starting it up in the meditation room on the third floor if you want to.
Okay, thanks. Third floor?
Third floor. Would you like our handout of what we give? These are just our activities here, and just a handout.
Okay,
and
yeah,
a
thanks.
map about the campus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there's an elevator right there.
Oh.
Probably best to do that.
Yeah, okay. It's coming. Yep.
That's the first level? First level is physically where you just sit and relax, and then the second level is mentally where your thoughts become quiet and focused, just trying to clear your mind. Hi, are you going to join our tour?
Yes.
Very good. We just got started. If you want to have a seat, you may have a seat. If you want to walk around the room, you may walk around the room, whatever makes you happy. And then third is spiritually, where we're rebalanced and re-energized and focused, and things just seem to happen easier for us. So the next thing here is this lovely stained glass window, as you already mentioned. That was donated by a stained glass artist named Frederica Fields. And Frederica Fields was one of the few stained glass artists of her time that dealt in tubular stained glass. If you're moving around, to me sometimes that glass looks like it's moving. It reminds me of a kaleidoscope when I was a kid that I used to play with. And the reason it does is because of the tubes. She has individual tubes. They're about this big around. And she puts the colors in the tubes, and then she puts the tubes together to make these lovely stained glass windows. That was how she did it. And there's a story about Frederica Fields that, to me, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. When she was just about 10 years old, Edgar Cayce did a reading for her entire family. One of the talents he had was, in addition to giving readings to individuals, he could also give readings to groups of people. Well, when she came to install these windows, she did a newspaper interview, and this is when she told the story. She said, I was only a kid. I didn't care. I didn't pay any attention to it. Well, about 22 years after that, her mother passed away. And when her mother passed away, at some point, she was going through her mother's papers, and she found the original reading from Edgar Cayce when she was just 10 years old. And when she got to the part about herself, it said, Frederica would always be fascinated by stained glass and would one day become a famous stained glass artist. Well, by then, she already had become a famous stained glass artist. So she was really taken aback by that, and she mentioned to her brother what she had found, and her brother had been keeping up with what was going on around the ARE because their parents were followers of Edgar Cayce's. And by the time she found that, it was in the early 70s. Well, this building opened in 1975. So when she tells her brother about it, he says, well, I know that the Edgar Cayce Foundation is looking for people who had readings by Edgar Cayce that had come true. So she contacts the foundation, who at that time was being run by Hewlin Cayce, which is Edgar's eldest son. And she tells him what happened, that her mother passed away, she found this reading. It said she was going to be a stained glass artist, and hey, guess what? I am. So he was all excited about that. And he says, I have been looking for a stained glass artist. We're just completing our new visitor center, and I would like to have stained glass windows put in our meditation room. May I commission you to do that? So she said she would be glad to do it as long as he would allow her to donate them. So, what a choice, huh? Being the good businessman that he was, he allowed her to donate them. So she and her husband came here and they measured for the windows. And then later, after she completed them, they came back to oversee the installation of the windows. And that's when she gave this interview, this newspaper interview, that I just happened to find by accident downstairs when I was flipping through a notebook looking for something else. And I didn't know that story. I thought it was fascinating. So anyway, you're going to notice these 3 lovely gemstones in this room. They were donated by a gemologist named James Tyler. Most of you probably know Edgar Cayce believes that gemstones are very healing and very therapeutic. So this first one over here is amethyst, and the one in the back is lapis lazuli. I'll turn the lights up so you can get a good picture of that. Lapis lazuli is the most mentioned gemstone in the readings. That one is the only one that actually says where it came from, where it was mined. It was mined in the Himalayas. It's an 88-pound stone, and it has strands of gold running through it. True lapis has gold running through it. Artificial lapis does not. And then this one over here in this corner is crystal quartz. And if you'll notice, they are set up in a triangular formation, and that is to enhance the healing energy in the room. And then these lovely paintings on the back wall, what they represent, everyone is welcome here. Edgar Cayce says that it doesn't matter what religion we follow, because we're all on the same path to oneness. So the best religion for you to follow is the one that you follow, because that's the one that works for you, and we're all looking for the same thing anyway. So these represent the 5 major religions of the world: Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Father Abraham represents both Judaism and Islam.
So this is Christianity,
That's Buddhism, although there's a lot of other things going on in the
There's a
Buddhism
menorah.
one as well. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones represented in that one, but the main focus is Buddhism, and then Hinduism, and Father Abraham represents both Judaism and Islam, because Islamic law does not allow you to post any kind of pictures or icons of Muhammad.
right?
So
And they actually use the Old Testament as part of the Torah. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. So this photograph over here, the significance of this is to tell how and why Edgar Cayce wound up here. He was born in Hopkinsville, Kentucky in 1877 on a farm. And from a very young age, his parents realized that he had some type of gift. And his mother tried to help him through it. She understood it because her own father had some type of gift, so she just assumed, well, her son has inherited his grandfather's gift, and boy, did he ever, and way beyond what grandpa could ever do. So it could be frightening to adults, but much less a child that was growing up seeing things and knowing things about people. So his mother tried to guide him through it throughout his childhood. And at a very young age, he told his parents that he wanted to help people. So he had this place out on the farm, his favorite place, where he would go and sit by this stream. Well, most kids would be down there playing or fishing. Not Edgar. Edgar loved to read the Bible, and he'd go down there by the stream and he'd read his Bible every chance he got. So he was down there one day, and he said he saw this lady coming towards him, and he thought it was his mother coming to look for him. And as she got closer, he realized it wasn't his mother, it was an angel. He actually had a visitation, first visitation from this angel, and then throughout his life, he said he had several more visitations from this very same angel. So this time, the first time, this angel tells him, and he wasn't afraid of her, he had a little bit unusual life, so he He wasn't afraid of her. And she told him, your dream will be realized. Exactly what is it that you want to accomplish? So he told her, I want to help people, especially the children when they're sick. So once again, she says, your dream will be realized, and she disappears. Well, he runs back to the house to find his mother and tells her what happened, and he says, what does this mean? Well, she said, it can mean a number of things. It could mean maybe you're going to grow up to be a doctor and heal people. Maybe you're going to grow up and be a missionary and travel all over the world and help people. You just have to wait and see where life leads you. So, as time went on, Edgar started doing readings in 1901. He was a photographer by trade, and he rented a small photography business in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. That's how he supported his family. And to the side, he had this little room where he would do 2 readings a day. Well, keep in mind, back then, they didn't have computers. You couldn't Google anything to find out where it was, or send an email or a text. Everything went through the mail. So he started giving readings to people twice a day just to be helpful to them. So as time went on, more and more people started word of mouth, putting the word out about this. A lot of folks called him the sleeping prophet, this man that could go into a trance, a sleep-like trance. And when he did, there was not a question in the universe that he could not answer. So then the newspapers got a hold of it. They did have newspapers back then, and started writing stories about him and what he was doing. So then more and more people started writing to him for readings. And then what was happening, folks were writing to him. If you saw, those of you who saw the movie, that his wife actually had tuberculosis. And in the late 1800s, early 1900s, if you had tuberculosis, you pretty much knew what your fate was. Well, her doctors had gotten to the point where they said, there's nothing else we can do. Well, Edgar wasn't having that. He did a reading for her and came up with a cure for her tuberculosis, which back then was totally unheard of. So it didn't happen overnight. It took her many, many years, and she got very, very sick. Well, it took her many, many years to get better, but finally, not only did she get better, the tuberculosis was gone, and she never had any other problems with it. Same thing in the film. His son, Edgar Cayce, had, like kids do, got into Dad's photography equipment, playing like he was Dad, and got some powder that they used at that time to develop film, got it in his eyes, and he went blind. The doctors told him, he's going to be blind for the rest of his life. There's nothing else we can do. And one doctor actually said one eye was so badly damaged that it should be surgically removed. Well, he was 9 years old. This terrified him. So he went to his dad, knowing his dad had this gift that he did readings for other people. And 9-year-old Hugh Lynn asked his dad, will you do a reading for me? I don't want to lose my eye. He wasn't asking to get his sight back. He just didn't want the eye to come out. So, of course, Edgar did a reading for 9-year-old Hugh Lynn. And just like Mom, it took a period of time. But not only did he not lose that eye, he totally regained vision in both eyes and never had a problem with his vision again. Those are the kind of miraculous things that Edgar Cayce would do. And he would tell you, he would be the first one to tell you, I am not a doctor. I have no medical experience. I don't know how I do this. He knew he was able to do it, but he didn't know how he did it. He just had this gift for some reason. So that's why as time went on, he was getting more and more letters from people who had medical issues because they found in the paper, the newspaper, the miraculous stories that were being told about him. And they really, a lot of them, it was desperation. They were looking for help and looking for hope because they didn't want to die. So he started giving readings to them and was coming up, not for all of them, but for many of them with cures. He didn't cure everybody, but he came up with a lot of cures. Well, then another issue we ran into, think about it. It wouldn't be easy for us to go today to our doctor who had just told us, sorry, there's nothing else I can do, and tell him, my psychic said, if you give me this treatment, I'll be cured. You know, they think we were out there, right? I had a doctor treat me like I was out there last year with an issue when I said, I believe in mind over matter, and I'm not going to entertain that idea. And she looked at me like I was some kind of weirdo. Well, long story short, guess who wound up being right? Me. Anyway,
Thank goodness.
yeah, thank goodness.
When you're
thank
talking
goodness.
about your health, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, anyway, then what was happening was these people, some of the same people, started writing back to him saying, can you find a place for us to go? Or can you make a place for us to go where we can get these treatments you're suggesting? So that's when he kind of realized that his mission in life was to build this medical missionary hospital, is how he referred to it, where people could come and get these treatments according to his readings. So that was his goal now, his passion. He knew what he had to do. But he also knew he was a poor farm boy with an 8th grade education, and he had no money to do that.
And about
So-
how old is he at this time when he realized this?
About how old he was, let me see, that was in the early 1900s. He came here in, it was in 1927 when he built the hospital. It took him 2 years, so this was in 1917. So he was born in what, 77, so what's that, 87, 97, or 7? He was about 40 years old already.
And he came here to
He
Virginia.
he wound up here in Virginia Beach in 1927. So what happened? His photography business started slacking off in Hopkinsville, so he started traveling around the country with this photography business because that was how he supported his family.
Can I ask that a quick question?
Yeah.
Because, I apologize, I missed the movie.
No,
When
sorry.
you say that the medical treatments are according to his readings,
Mhm.
but that's because he gave individual readings to people? Or
Yes.
is this something written in a book?
No, he would give readings to individual people or even to groups of people.
So by the readings,
he
that's how he
decided.
knew what would cure them or whatever?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Some of the readings say that he, or some of the books I've read about him say, the way he was able to do that was when he was giving you a reading, especially a medical reading, that he was able, it's like Superman almost, like he was able to see right into your body and see how your organs were functioning and see how your blood was running in your vessels and arteries. That's amazing.
So it was like a meditation for him. And he remembered everything you told him, right?
Well, no. That's one thing too, is when he gave a reading, early on it was just him and the person getting the reading. He didn't have a stenographer or a conductor. And unless you told him what he said,
He wouldn't
when he woke up, he was clueless. He didn't know what he said.
Okay.
It was later when he got a stenographer that was writing everything down, and he was seeing these things he was saying that he said, he was amazed at it. I don't know how I do this.
Right.
Because he was just so amazed at the things he was saying.
Yeah.
So,
he felt it was some kind of connection with the universe
The
or
uni-
God or whatever.
yeah, when he gave these readings, he said he was using his superconscious mind and that he was talking to the universal consciousness, or sometimes he referred to it as the source or God. He would call it a number of different things. Different people refer to it as different things.
Right.
So yes. So then he started traveling around the country. It took him over 10 years. 10 years, that's pretty dedicated. I know I would have given up long before then, you know. You figure, well, I guess that's not going to happen. All the while, he was looking for financial backers for his medical missionary hospital. Over 10 years later, he was so determined. He winds up in New York City, and he meets these two gentlemen, Edwin and Morton Blumenthal, and they were brothers, and they were stockbrokers. And they had followed the Cayce readings over the years. They'd heard about him, they'd read about him, they'd read about the readings, and they believed in them. So they told him they would be glad to finance his medical missionary hospital. Now, take a step back for a moment. One talent that Edgar Cayce had that most psychics will tell you they do not have, he was able to do self-readings that gave him information about himself or his family, like his wife and his son. Most psychics will tell you they can't get information about themselves or their immediate family, but Edgar could. So over those 10 years, what kept coming up, Virginia Beach kept coming up in the readings as the ideal place for him to build his medical missionary hospital. Reason being, Virginia Beach is considered to be a spiritual vortex by a large body of water free from geological harm. Now, what that meant to Edgar, spiritual vortex, simply meant it was a spiritual place. By a large body of water, it said that Edgar Cayce's readings were more profound and detailed and precise near large bodies of water. How about that? And then free from geological harm meant it was a safe haven.
But what about the 3 crystals? I thought you said that enhances.
The crystals are set up here in the triangular formation to enhance the healing energy in the room. And again, he believed that minerals
Certain minerals.
are healing, have healing properties. And there's a couple of books, or more than a couple, but 2 that we highlight about gemstones in the library as well as in the bookstore that go into more detail about what stones are he recommended, or what stones are recommended depending on what your ailment or illness is, and even where on your body to place these stones according to your particular ailment or illness or ailment, and also maybe how to best wear it for healing properties for you as a pendant or a ring or a bracelet maybe, that would be best for you depending on your issues.
Right, but for readings, he didn't want the geological formations, just the water.
Well, no, not necessarily, because in the readings he came up with, he told a lot of different things in the readings. He may recommend to somebody what stone maybe they should be carrying. Some of the stones, it's recommended that you keep them on you all the time, keep them in your pocket, carry them with you everywhere you go for healing properties. So he did mention them in readings. Oh, bless you, I saw that
Excuse
coming.
me, allergies.
That's okay, I understand, I have them as well. So, but they say from geological harm, good example of what's out there right today. We had just a few days ago, or maybe it was last week, a tropical depression that was coming up this way up the coast, and it kind of bounced off Cape Hatteras and went out to sea. This guy here, which we're getting some effects of today, this tropical storm, they were predicting that it was going to be a little bit worse for Hampton Roads, and hey, it's kind of bouncing away too, going away too, so that's just kind of gives you some food for thought there. We had hurricanes here before, I remember when I was a kid, but we haven't, knock on wood, had a severe one in many years, and that's a good thing. So,
I've heard that.
yeah,
But there hasn't really
absolutely.
been.
And not in a long time that I recall. We've had some tropical storms, but not a major hurricane. Think about it. It's possible we could have a Katrina here one day. We're right here on the coast sticking out.
Sure.
That could happen here just as well as it happened there. Thank God we haven't had a hurricane hit here straight on in a very long time. So anyway, Edgar found, that's the story about what he was picking up about himself for Virginia Beach. And so the brothers agreed to finance his medical missionary hospital. And so he's talking to them about, okay, where should we build it? So the brothers said, the readings keep suggesting Virginia Beach. There must be a reason. Edgar didn't even know where Virginia Beach was. He'd never been here. He'd never heard of it. There must be a reason that is suggesting Virginia Beach. We feel, the brothers feel, you should follow the readings and build a hospital in Virginia Beach. So needless to say, he found out where Virginia Beach was, and he moved his family here. And his stenographer, in 1927, the brothers purchased the first home for the Cayces to live in, and then together they found this property. And Edgar actually helped to build the hospital in 1927. It opened in 1928 as a hospital where folks could come from all over to get treatments according to his readings. Now, again, he was not a doctor. Prior to the hospital being built, he hired a Dr. House, to run the hospital for him. And then, if folks had doctors, if patients had their own doctors that were willing to give them treatments according to Edgar Cayce's readings, they were welcome to bring their own doctors with them as well.
Did he let traditional medicine go hand in hand with his, or he
No,
stayed away
it
from
was
it?
strictly,
and
yeah, because it was strictly
It was his facility,
by the
so.
readings, what was coming up in the readings, treatments that he came up with, and that was the only thing they did
There,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, at one time it was even said that early on when the hospital first opened, you know, of course there weren't as many buildings around as there are now, that the doctors and or staff members would take people across to the beach and conduct sand packs on them, like burying them in the sand,
Yeah.
if you will, like kids do, because it was said there were the sand had healing properties, and that the sand out here also had traces of gold in the sand, and that gold is a very healing mineral. So they'd pack them in the sand and let them sit for a bit, and then they'd unpack them and bring them back because they thought that was very healing and very therapeutic for them. So it was a hospital for 3 years, and then during the Great Depression, he lost his hospital because he lost his financial backers, lost his home because he lost his financial backers. And then he passed away in 1945 before he was able to get the hospital back. And his son, Edgar Cayce, purchased it back in the mid-50s and turned it into the health center in Spa, which it still is today.
His son, it was Julian Casey.
Hugh Lynn, H-U-G-H, Hugh Lynn, L-Y-N-N, Casey.
I'm sorry,
H-U-G-H, like huge.
L-Y-N?
L-Y-N-N, 2 words. Hugh Lynn, first name Hughes, middle name Lynn, Casey.
Was
So
he
did he-
also do readings? The
No,
son, he was.
none of his family has come out that they have any kind of talents or abilities.
But he continued the work of his father,
He
or he
continued
did
to
something
work, he's
different?
continued his father's legacy, yes ma'am.
So how do people get treated though? If he's, he's died, he can't give personal readings.
Right.
How do they know what to do in the hospital? Because,
Well, now, it's not a hospital anymore, it was only a hospital for 3 years,
okay.
and then
okay.
he was living during that time.
Yeah,
And now folks just come and study the readings and just use what he had
He had
suggested
already
to
written.
other folks.
with
Um,
similar
With
kind of-
similar,
I
yes,
see,
with
okay.
similar
That
issues,
makes sense.
and they can just tweak it a little bit as to what is working for them, what is not working for them. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go down to what, does anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay, let's go down to the library, we're gonna finish up down there, and I'm gonna show you where the readings are, I'm gonna show you where the couch is that he used to give his readings,
Mm-hmm.
because I have to finish by a certain time,
Yeah.
so I don't run into the lecture.
And did you get this at the front desk? Just
Yeah, she gave it to me, and
general
there's
information
a wall with
with some
most
general.
of this, and then
Yeah.
she went into a lot of what was in movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I'd like to get some information. Is this by the same woman?
Yes, that is by the same woman, Frederica Fields.
It's,
This one
So these are more
represents-
clear tubes, and she puts.
Yes,
See,
she
I
would
don't
put the
understand that.
colors in the tubes. Let me turn the
They're
light
glass
on.
tubes, right?
Yes,
and-
ma'am.
And how does she get them in there? Is she heating it, or is she?
I don't know her actual technique.
Now this looks a little different. The other ones
This-
look like
yeah,
they were
these look
round.
more
And this
flat.
is different.
Angular.
This is like there's something in the background and then
These
the,
look more flat than
Yeah.
what the others inside
then
look
there-
round.
Yeah, it just
saw-
looks like the slats are in front of.
yes.
And that's a flat kind of stained glass. That's what it
And
looks
they
like.
may
Yeah.
be, I would,
Yeah, I'm just
because they
fascinated
do
by
look like that, but I'm
like-
not sure.
by glass and things, you know.
What are these,
That's really
These
pretty.
scrolls,
Look how
these
pretty
are
that is.
scrolls, they're excerpts from the readings.
Maybe that's his angel
And
that
they
came
wind
into
them
them.
up, and that's your message for the day.
oh, take a message for the
Take
day.
the
Oh,
message
yes,
for the
have to.
day.
That is beautiful, and I love the song.
Isn't that
the sheet
lovely?
music. Is that representative of any particular event or his angel or anything, or just?
No, I'm not sure on that.
It's beautiful.
I know he definitely believed in angels because he had visitation from one several times throughout his life.
That's beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry. This
Right.
is the message for the day.
Yes, ma'am. Grab you one.
Is it going to be pertain to me?
It should.
Yeah, it's your
Absolutely.
message.
I know.
But I picked it by color, does that throw it off?
It doesn't matter.
No, we know. Oh,
If
pick
it's
the
meant for
same
you, it's
color.
meant for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Take a wrong turn, it was meant to be, right?
I tell ya, I get one every day that I'm here, and it always speaks to me whether I want it to or
Really?
not.
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah.
a lot
Sometimes
of
we don't
those
wanna
lately.
listen.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Here?
I set my clock so I know how much time I have. Come on and have a seat right over here, and I will be right with you. Which, so I don't run over into the lecture time, because the lecture starts at 3:30
Oh, I see.
for whoever wants to see the lecture.
Oh, isn't that neat? Oh, what do they say? That's like,
That's right, you can-
what's that game where you pull the bars out?
Young, young.
Yeah, something like that, where, that's what it looks like. That's kinda cool.
Please, saying you had a bunch of books you didn't know what to do with.
Make it hard.
Come down,
Make
make
it
it
make it hard and put flowers on
I'm
it.
supposed to give them away, but maybe what I do is make them into something.
Yeah, make them
Put
into
a
art.
glass on top.
Somebody's message. Is that his? Can't forget your own message. Is that your message?
Yes.
Okay. Very important now.
You did a very good summation.
In what?
She summarized.
Yes, because she went over the woman with tuberculosis. The movie went over.
With tuberculosis?
Yeah, she gave an example.
Well, when he was a photographer, was he, what was his business? Taking beautiful scenery, or was he doing group shots? Did she get into that?
Welcome you to our
I was curious
metaphysical
about that.
library.
Being a photographer
You can
myself.
go ahead and have a seat. if you'd
Quick
like.
question, how did he make money with his photography business? Was he taking like family shots, or was he taking scenery, or just?
No,
'cause-
it was a photography business, like where portraits, where you
Portraits
would go
for-
with your family.
Yeah.
That's what he would do. So, welcome to our metaphysical library. We have over 75,000 volumes in here. This is the largest metaphysical library in the country. It is the third largest metaphysical library in the world. The first one is at the Vatican, and I'm told only the Pope has access to that. And the second one is Osho's library in India. Osho was a philosopher, and then this is the third one. All of the binders, those brown binders behind you, those are the readings, and they are in chronological order according to the first person that had a reading is in the first one, for instance. The last person that had a reading is in the last one. And then there are over 10,000 topics in the readings. So it's like, okay, there they are.
Can
You're
you
welcome to
search
look
them?
through
Like,
them.
does the Library of Congress, like, could I go there and say, you know, I want his readings about, and search by topic? Do you have it digitized?
You can. We do have it digitized. That's what I was
funny, it
just
just
getting
came
ready
into
to
that.
show you. Let's see here.
Be interesting to read about what's perfect, you know? Yeah, she
So
just
there
said
are
this
over-
brochure
I
says,
just, it's funny,
Yeah.
I just hit on that, Edgar
says
Cayce readings
online.
online, the entire set
Yes.
of more than 14,000 documented. Just as you were saying it, it took me to that. It's kind of interesting.
There's over 10,000 topics in the readings. We have them condensed by topic in these little booklets to make it easier for you to find what you're looking for. And they're in alphabetical order right here in these cabinets. And these are here for you to go through if you'd like. The first three are all on medical issues. We have over 750 of these alone on medical issues. And then the last one is everything non-medical: attitude, emotion, Atlantis, gemstones. So you can find them here or on our website, edgarcayce.org. There is a members-only section. Members have access to all the digitized readings. Or you can just type in the search bar what you're looking for, and all the readings on that subject will pop up. Members also have access to some lectures and some videos that non-members do not have access to, and some but not all of these circulating files are on there as well. I grabbed this one off the shelf. It says sunburn. So out of the 10,000 topics in the readings, there's a file for the various topics. He
And
taught
what
me.
topic was that?
This is sunburn.
That's what I
And then
thought you
there's,
said.
of course, there's cancer, there's diabetes, there's all kinds of things in the gemstones, all kinds of things in there.
So anyone can come and use this. This is a public library.
This is a public library. If you are not a member, you may come in here and read or research any of them, anything in here. If you are a member, even if you're from out of state, you can check anything out as long as you ship them back when you go home.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you be a member? Is it involve giving to the research or whatever?
No, we have two types of memberships. We have a online membership for $39 a year for 1 year. We have a traditional membership for $59 a year for 1 year. Members, of course, have access to the member-only section and have access to all the digitized readings and the other things I've already mentioned. Members get a discount in our bookstore and our online bookstore, 20% off anything that has this logo on it, because we have our own publishing house here on campus, and if it has this logo on it, that means it was published here, so you get that 20% off. And then if you have anything done at the spa while you're here, there's a member price and a non-member price. If you come to any of our lectures throughout the year, be they here or in other cities, there's a member price and a non-member price. And I'm going to hand those out to you. You can go ahead and take one while you're there. I was going to hand those out to you in a bit. This is the couch that Edgar Cayce used for his readings.
Oh, thank you.
And this is the original fabric under here.
Oh, wow.
Yep, he would lie down on this couch and he would go into this sleep-like trance. And let me see how my time is going here. He would go into a trance, and then folks would ask him questions.
Oh.
And this table here, this is the stenographer's table, where his stenographer would sit here and copy down every single word that he said in the reading. And these handouts, thank you for doing that. These handouts, Edgar Cayce, no matter what the readings were about, at some point it seemed like it came down to diet. And through the readings, he came up with this 80% alkaline, 20% acid diet. And pretty much what that is the exact opposite of what most of us do. For instance, the 80% alkaline is all your fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains and, no salt, no cholesterol, all that kind of stuff. And the 20% acid is all the stuff that we just love to eat, the heart attack on a plate stuff, the pizza and burritos and lasagna stuff that I love that I can't have anymore. But pretty much it's just the opposite. And I think it's amazing that Edgar Cayce passed away in 1945. So he knew about this diet prior to 1945, but our doctors have just been telling us about this diet a handful of years ago. So I'm just curious as to how Edgar Cayce knew about it for so long, and it was public out there, but doctors today didn't start even pushing it until maybe a handful of years ago.
Where does protein go on this chart? I don't see meats, or am I just not seeing it?
It's in there.
I see fruits, vegetables, dairy.
Let's see.
I mean, because that's
Now this is what he's recommending here. He's recommending
meat.
mostly like
fruits and
no,
vegetables.
no red meat. And he recommends no red meat. Actually,
Really?
I don't. I
But
read
meat's
before.
under acid flesh food.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Oh, there you go.
And the
He
acid
mentioned- oh, he just
forming.
mentions beef juice, blood and bone, only bone meal. But yeah, I don't actually see.
Because,
anything
I
thought
try
was
to
on
eat
there.
lots of complex carbs, which are vegetables
Right.
and stuff, but protein, and I try to stay
Oh,
away
see,
from
there
the
you go.
starch.
Here it is. It's under. I knew I'd seen meat on there. 20% acid. The bad
All
stuff.
meats are
That's where your
considered
meats
acid.
all meats, fowl, fish, shellfish,
Well,
they're under the bad stuff.
I eat more meat than anything, probably.
Okay, so,
Maybe that's why I'm tired all the time.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
It could
actually-
be.
But
There's something to that.
Okay, see how much time I have. So, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I jumped around a bit, but
I'm
think-
sorry, we're distracted because we
That's
asked
okay, I just
questions,
wanna
but
make sure I covered everything. I
That's
did.
because we're interested.
That's good, you're very interested, and that's why you're here.
So who
um,
are these folks?
That's who I'm getting ready to tell you. There's Edgar Cayce on the end down there, of course. In the center, this is Gladys Davis Turner. She was his stenographer for 22 years. He hired her when she was only 18 years old. And then this is his eldest son, Julian Cayce, who ran the foundation after his father passed away. If it wasn't for Hewlin and Gladys Davis, the reason they earned a spot up here with Edgar is because if it wasn't for Hewlin purchasing the property back in the 50s,
Yeah.
and if it wasn't for Gladys staying on with him to take care of the readings, this lady wrote, there were 14,306 documented readings, and she wrote down almost every single one of them all by herself until much later she hired an assistant to help her. But most of them she did herself. Even after Edgar passed, she took care of the readings, and she actually had a hand in the database that we use today. She worked here on campus for years until she passed away in 1986. So she actually worked here at the ARE after Hewlin purchased it back.
So Yulin was the boy with eyes that
Yes!
that he only
Yes.
had one son and that's it.
Well, he had two sons. He had Edgar Evans Cayce, who was younger than Hewlin. Edgar Evans, I'm told over the years and have read that he would pop in and out, but he wasn't that much into the ARE like Hewlin was. Hewlin was the one determined to carry through his father's legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the son, Edgar Evans, is shown in the film. He gives a little, has a little interview in the film. But he wasn't anywhere nearly involved as Hewlin was.
And what was his
unusual name.
wife's name?
His wife's name was Gladys, that Gladys is a stenographer. Gertrude. His wife's name is Gertrude. Where was he born again? In Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Because the name, well, maybe
Gertrude
it's
Cayce?
1907. but
Gertrude Cayce.
Yulin and Edgar Allan, they're not common names that you hear a lot.
Well, they're family names. They're Hewlin, Hewlin and Edgar Evans. I think both of those were other families' name, like uncles' names or something. His mother's brothers, I think. And so she took names from, I believe that's who they were. They were other family members' names that they borrowed for their
I remember it
sons'
was way
names.
back when too, because names are, you know, go
Yeah,
in
different.
and out.
My dad's name was Rufus. Who names their kids Rufus?
Yeah,
But
you don't hear.
He was named after an uncle whose name was Rufus. But I've never heard that name before. Well, of course not before, I wasn't here, but since then. Yeah, I thought, that's an unusual name.
What's the ring? Is that a significant detail? It looks like it's a half
I don't know,
moon or
someone's asked me
something.
that before, and I don't
'Cause it's
know
very
that it
prominent,
has any,
so it must have meant something to
significance
him.
to it. Actually, it's a C, there we go, it's a C for Cayce. It's just the way
okay.
his hand is sideways, that's what it is. I
And
see, I forgot, and that's what it was.
how is the foundation kept alive today?
The foundation today is run by 12 board members, and basically they live off donations.
And does it
From-
have a staff?
I'm sorry,
What's the staff like?
what's the staff like? Some of us are staff members, many are volunteers, probably maybe about 50-50. A lot of staff and then a lot of volunteers. Okay, so if you're interested in the lecture, because I'm about to run into the lecture time. Yep, we got about 8 minutes. The lecture is going to start downstairs where you saw the movie, in that room. It's Louise Weil today speaking on meditation. It lasts about an hour. So if you're interested in that, go on down and have a seat. You don't have to sign up or anything. Just go in and have a seat because she'll be down there waiting on us. And Oh, one thing I didn't mention about membership, here I had them right here. If you decide to join while you're here, you can join online, you can join on the phone customer service, but if you decide to join while you're here at the ARE, we give you these 2 free books, Health Through Drugless Therapy. This is a great reference book for the home. Harold J. Riley studied here with Edgar Cayce, and actually helped him come up with the Cayce Riley School of Massage. And this other book, this is the only biography written about Edgar Cayce while he was still alive. The author, Thomas Segru, went to college with Hugh Lynn Cayce, and he moved in with the Cayce family for more than 2 years, and that's where he got his first-hand knowledge to write the book. So we give you these as a free gift. These are a $35 value. The online membership's only $39, and I don't think I mentioned the difference between the two. With both memberships, you receive a quarterly magazine and a quarterly newsletter. I said the online one is $39 a year. The other one is $59 a year, and that they were 99% the same. The only difference in those memberships is if you want this in the mail, if you're old-fashioned like I am and you want to hold it and read it, that's the $59 one. If you're fine just reading it on the screen, that's the $39 one. So it boils down to, do you want this in the mail quarterly or do you not want it in the mail? That's the only difference. Other than that, the memberships are exactly the same, and you have the same online access. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been my pleasure. I hope you learned a few little tips or tidbits that you didn't know about Edgar Cayce before.
Yeah.
Go on down to the lecture if you want to see that.
You're a
Louisa-
great speaker,
Oh,
by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
You
nice
really do a
job.
great
Yeah,
job.
nice
And
Yeah,
you don't
you
say,
did very well.
you
Thank
know,
you.
you're a
Very
great
nice
speaker.
job.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I'm glad you're excited about it.
Yeah, oh, I am,
know,
because
you-
I
you
am. I'm
engage your
passionate about it.
listeners, yeah.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, are these September schedules you're handing them? Well, that's okay.
So you were taking down the nonprofit structure there? Are you gonna?
No, I wanted to, I take notes on stuff.
Do you?
Yeah, just it's a way for me to learn, to remember.
Yeah. And that's true, because I'll remember this stuff like 2 months from now, and I'll be telling somebody about it. But 6 months from now, I'm like, there's the power again.
I think
I-
if there are stairs, it would be good to walk down the
Yeah.
stairs.
Exit.
Because if they lose the power and we're in the elevator, not good.
Well, we want to make sure they don't. Says it's locked. Oh, it's not 5 p.m. yet. Sometimes I always worry about getting trapped in the stairwell.
Yeah.
So, what are you ladies thinking about the lecture?
Thank you.
I'd like to hear it because I missed the movie. Are you not into it?
What do you think?
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
do we have anything else to do?
well,
Relax, maybe. We'll still be back for happy hour.
peek out here. This is beautiful.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice garden.
That's a meditation garden, I think.
Yeah, I see the patio. I bet you we could go out there. It's not raining. I'm sure it's public because it has chairs and stuff down there. If you guys don't want to, I mean, I can take the cab back on myself if you didn't really want to go. I'd love to.
Yeah. Okay,
Me too.
good.
What do you think about it, Bill? Are you interested?
Thank you for being there.
You're welcome. Hi.
Yeah, it's similar to like what Chelsea does, yeah. But I do it more like coaching, but not like I don't really like the coaching. Just because I know a lot about it. Right, but some of
you doing?
Well, fine.
Chelsea do both parts. And she gave me this prayer to do for 21 days. And after about 2 weeks, I had a dream. And something lifted from my heart that was so powerful. It woke me up and my heart hurt, but not in a bad way. I mean, it hurt, but not in a, I knew it wasn't bad. I knew it was good. And then on the 21st day, the last day, I was doing something here, hanging out till late. I was doing it at night. I woke up the next morning, I'm like, 21st day. So I had to do a lot of introspection, and I asked for some dreams of so I did it I did it that day. I did it twice. Or maybe it was the 20th day. And I did it twice the next day. Like I did it when I realized it, and I did it again at my normal. And then I just asked for a dream of do I need to start from scratch and do it all over again? And the answer was very clearly no. Because I would have done it, because I did see that powerful shift, around 2 weeks in. But the dream was very clear. No, you got what you needed out of it. Really, you didn't need to do it after that. That shift that you got. That was what was intended. So, but I found it very powerful.
Yeah, because I had a reading done with her too, because she learned in the same program that I went, and I wanted to see like how
Somebody
she
else doing
interpreted
it.
it. Yeah. So,
Well, it's like I never get readings, really. I have an astrologer. He's a psychic astrologer, and once a year I go to him. I don't go when he lives in Florida, but I have a session with him. So I don't know. And not because I don't want to, it just, I don't know, I just don't. But because I'm moving here and I want to know what everybody's about. Right. It's okay, I just had one yesterday. Oh my God. Did I see Mary Roach? It was 2.5 hours long. It was worth